Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Brianna Members, and I'm the founder of She Edits. My mission is to help people graduate debt-free. So that is all we do over here at She Edits. We help people win scholarships. We help people apply for scholarships, find the scholarships, write the scholarship essays, everything that you need from start to finish during the scholarship process. That is what we do. So glory be to God, I was blessed with over $50,000 in grants and scholarships. I was able to graduate completely debt-free from college. And not only that, I was able to get refund checks. So even after I had gotten enough funding to pay for everything, my entire schooling, I kept on applying for scholarships because I said, why not? Like, they're giving me money. And so I'm going to keep on applying for it. So most people are surprised to realize that I actually got more money in high school, or more money in college rather, than I did in high school. I only won a couple scholarships in high school because I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know the process, but I learned the process pretty well when I was in college. And so then I really hit the ground running and I just put it into full gear. So I started She Edits to help other people do the same. So far, we've been able to help people win. Right now, I mean, I just got an email today talking about somebody, her son just won 1.4 or 1.3 million in scholarships. And she's been in the program for a little over a year. So we've helped people all over the country win hundreds of thousands to now over $1 million in scholarships. So I'm just so excited. This has just been such an amazing journey. I have a scholarship workshop coming up, which I'm super excited about. And y'all know, if anybody's taking my scholarship workshops or my scholarship classes, you know I love to give the value. I'm not going to have you sitting on a workshop and I don't give you any value. So absolutely make sure you come on out to that workshop. It's going to be amazing. I'll be breaking down my 3-step scholarship strategy. I'll be talking about other ways to graduate debt-free. I'm going to give you a whole worksheet with resources. There are live Q&A sessions during the workshop, and I literally stay on there until every single question is answered. So you're able to unmute your microphone, turn your camera on, and ask your questions. Register at sheeditsllc.com. It's right there at the top. Or go to learn.sheeditsllc.com and you'll find it there as well. But enough of me. I want to dive into why we're here tonight with Miss Adrienna Gibbs Brown. She is just about to knock it out of the park, y'all. So I'm super excited. So I'm going to stop talking. And if you all see me looking down, that's because I'm just going to be moderating the comments. Feel free to ask your questions. We'll leave time for all questions at the end, but we have a lot of content we want to cover. But definitely type in your questions so we can make sure we're getting them answered. But without any further ado, let's welcome Miss Adrienna Gibbs Brown. How are you this evening?
I am feeling good this evening. I hope everybody else is out there feeling good too and had a great day.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just go ahead and dive on into it. Tell us a little bit more about who you are, where you live, your kids, and then we'll dive into what the people want to know.
Okay, well, like she said, my name is Adrienna Gibbs Brown. I am a single mom of 3 boys. My oldest is 21, my middle is 19, and my youngest is 12. And we are from North Augusta, South Carolina. And right now I have one son. My oldest is in community college at Hillsborough Community College down in Tampa. And my middle son is at University of South Carolina at Columbia. And then my baby is in middle school.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And so I know that people want to know, because I've sent out the emails, I've blasted it out there a million times, that your son Austin won $1.4 million in scholarships.
Yes.
And so let's talk about that a little bit. So my first question is, were those internal awards from colleges? Were those external scholarships? How did he get to that 1.4 million number?
So he had a combination. So it was a combination of college merit scholarship offers and external outside, people know them as outside scholarship offers. So it was a combination of both. And with those outside scholarships, a couple of those were renewable scholarships.
Can you talk about what renewable scholarships are for those who may not know?
Yes. So renewable scholarships. So one of the scholarships that he was awarded is called the Watson Brown Scholarship. So if you live in this CSRA area, which is Augusta, Georgia, Aiken, South Carolina, North Augusta, South Carolina, this is a scholarship that you could apply for. And it was a $6,000 scholarship, but it's renewable. As long as he maintains his requirements, he can renew that scholarship every year. He just has to submit. They send him an email, he submit his grades at the end of each semester, and they send another check to the school.
That's
So it's
awesome.
$3,000 per semester he gets
And
for
that
that
will
one scholarship.
all the way until he graduates.
Yes, until
That's
he graduates.
And that's why I love those renewable scholarships. So
Yes.
for those who may not know, renewable scholarships are ones, like you said, as long as you maintain those requirements, you can keep getting those every year. And then there are one-time scholarships where you get it, they say congratulations, and then, you know, that's pretty much it. But
Right.
having a combination of both of those can really make a huge difference.
Yes.
So let's talk about how he got to that number. So I know a key to receiving a lot of full ride offers is applying for college early. So using early action or early decision, as soon as those college applications open up in, you know, October, or not October, but August, September, making sure to try to get those applications in before that November 1st priority deadline. So can you speak to that a little bit?
So we did early action for all of the schools that he applied for. We did the common app, which opens up on August 1st, and we did the common Black college application, and that one opens up also August 1st. And both of them were great resources, and we were able to apply to all these schools, you know, early. And with early action, the merit money, a lot of it is a first come, first serve situation. So once they've given out, and you've missed out. Also, one of the things that we had to do in parallel with applying early action was making sure we did the FAFSA when it opened up on October 1st. And we made sure all of his top 10 schools, we had the codes for them. So they would get the, as soon as they start looking at merit and financial aid packages, his stuff was already there. They didn't have to come back to us and ask us to apply.
I love that. And so when did he create that top 10 list? Was this something that he already had created in the summer or during the summer before senior year? Or was this between August of him applying and October when the FAFSA opened up?
We started working on this actually the spring of his junior year, because that's when he really started realizing he needed to go on college tours and how important college tours were. And so we started making a list of his top 10 at that point. I also wanted to say, by the time he had finished his junior year, he had already been accepted into Wingate University. So this was at the beginning of the summer. This at the top of the summer. Awesome. And he had already received his first acceptance into college and his first scholarship, which was a $32,000 scholarship, which was renewable every year. So that was the first scholarship out the gate.
That's incredible. And that's why I always tell people to, if you can, just to get on it junior year, even sophomore year, because so many times I'll see parents and they can still absolutely win scholarships senior year, but it just is so much more pressure because, you know, college is literally less than a year away. And you have so many things going on senior year, so many pieces you're trying to figure out and put together. And then you look up and it's just a couple months away and you're still making those decisions. So I think that it's such a good idea to start early. Now, a little bit back to that list, because I'm kind of like intrigued by his top 10 list. What were his deciding factors of what qualified a college to be on that top 10 list? Was it finances, academics? What was it?
It kind of changed for him, because at first he always talked about he wanted to be at a school near the beach. Then he realized that wasn't very realistic. So he started focusing in more on what he wanted to do for a career. So he started looking at schools that offered his major, and he also looked to see if they had graduate programs or doctoral programs that he could just go right into those programs after finishing undergrad. So that kind of changed his list around a little bit. And he did that research on his own. That was something I told him you had to do on your own. And then he knew that he wanted to stay in the South. So he knew that he had to look at schools in a specific region.
I love that. And I love that you made him do the work. So we're going to fix that. We're about to dive into that too, but I love that. So you kind of answered this, but when did you first start like thinking about college? So I know you started actually going on tours and applying during junior year, but when did you start kind of thinking about that whole college process?
With my oldest, it was different because we kind of knew he wasn't going to do the traditional route, and he took the gap year. Okay. With Austin, we knew he was going to traditional college. I actually started thinking about it his sophomore year, but I didn't really push him to like really do anything. And when we started in his spring of his junior year, I realized that we were late to the game. We was late to the party, that we should have started really freshman year. Okay. At least going on the college tours, just going to college fairs earlier than we did.
And why do you say that?
Because it's so much information that's out there, and it becomes overwhelming really quickly. And your time is, you're on a time crunch now because senior year is approaching, and you only have the summer really to start preparing, because August 1st comes and you're applying to colleges. By December, you've gotten your acceptance if you apply early action, and then you have to get the ball rolling with other enrollment fees, housing fees, all of these different things. So you can't wait to the traditional decision day when people post, oh, my child made a decision this day. It's really too late at that point to get the max benefit of financial aid.
Yeah. And I love that term, like the maximum benefit, because the earlier you start, just the more opportunities you have, the less deadlines that have closed. And so parents can still, or students rather, can still get that money. There's still so much out there, but they are going to have to work a little bit harder. They're going to have to kind of condense that time. If you start a little bit earlier, then it gives you just more time to just spread everything out. Versus, a few months before college starts, it's still possible. It's still doable. I've seen parents do it, but it's like you have to put in like hours a day of work, which is fine. It's worth it in the end when you don't have to take out those student loans. But it's just like you're taking all the time that you could have had and just like crunching it down, and then it just makes life more stressful. So I love that. I'm glad you said that. All right. So what was the biggest key to Austin's scholarship success? So for those of you who are just joining, her son Austin was offered over $1.4 million in scholarships. What would you say, if you had to distill it down, the number one key to his success was?
I would say just being consistent. Being consistent and making sure that he was doing the follow-up. And I had to stay on him to do the follow-up. And to let him know that this is serious. And so that was the key, to get him to just really understand that this is serious. You got to stay focused on this, as well as all of the other things that you have going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. How did you do that? Because that's a problem that I see a lot of parents ask me about. How do I get my kid motivated? How do I get them to take ownership of this process where I'm not just chasing them down and beating them down with the bat, in order to go through this process? So you were successful at it. So can you talk about that a little bit?
One thing, these kids get overwhelmed easy because they have the pressure of AP exams, IB exams, just overall final exams all together. And you have to create time. Time management is the biggest key, really and truly. And what we would do, we had Sundays. Sundays was our day. And because he didn't have any sports going on, he was just kind of at home on those days, chilling. So those were the days that we didn't always just work on scholarships. We also used that time to look at YouTube, look at the school's social media, look at the school's websites, just to tour the schools that way, to get the students' perspective they had posted on social media about the school. So we didn't make it all about work, get this scholarship, do this, do this, do this. And so that kept him a little more motivated, a little more interested in what was going on. And once he started seeing the scholarships coming in, he was like, oh, okay. And then I think I got addicted to applying to scholarships. So I was like, oh, well, let's do this one. Let's do this. Okay, one more. Let's do this one. And so we had timelines too, because I wanted him to enjoy his senior year. And so I said, okay, this is the cutoff. As of April, we're not going to apply to any more scholarships. But at the end of the day, we still applied to one or two after April. But I had to give him a cutoff so he wouldn't seem so overwhelmed with it.
I love that. You said so many good things there. So number one, consistency. I say that all the time. I say, this is one thing I talk about on the workshop. I say you can apply for the best high quality scholarships. You can write stellar scholarship essays, but if you're only putting in one or two applications, that's not enough to graduate debt free. And those are part of the process, as I'm sure you've seen. Like, he didn't get every scholarship he applied for, I assume. But when you talk about those ones that did start to come in and that really got him motivated, I hear parents say that so many times. After you get that first one where you realize people want to give you money and yet you're worth the money, and people see the value in you, then it just makes so much of the difference. So I love the concept of scholarship Sundays or scholarship Saturdays, or just picking a day or a time that works for you. So how long would you say during that, how many hours during those days would you work on scholarships? And did you have like a task list for him to go through? How did those look?
We usually had some type of task list, because he would just come to me and I'll tell you, parents, you're going to become the personal secretary. That's just about
my mom said the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, I was his personal secretary, because he would come to me and he'll say, he was like the CEO. Like, so what do I need to do today? What's on my calendar? And so I would tell him, you need to do this, this, and this. This is what you need to get done. And we had spreadsheets to keep us in check of what was going on, to keep track of where we had applied and what scholarships we had applied to. So we probably did about 2 hours. We tried to keep it at max 2 hours, but sometimes we went over it depending on what we were doing and how engaged he was in doing it.
Yeah.
But one of the big things that helped the process was that I went on the Common application, and they had a list of prompts, essay questions. And so I had him to go on there and pick out 4. He picked out 4, and I had him to go ahead and write an essay for those. So all we had to do was kind of just doctor up different essays for different scholarships, because most of the scholarships, the essay prompts were pretty much the same question, just worded differently.
Absolutely. Ooh, I'm about to have you come co-teach this workshop. I am. I mean, you're saying so many good things, like so many of the essay prompts, and I dive into them on the workshop, just like what they are and how to best write to them. But you're right, like they're the same. And so once you can get those most popular ones written down, I always say to create a draft or create a skeleton of those, and then you can always go and make it better later. But just getting a draft of all of those essays, it just saves you so much time, because then you can just recycle and reuse them over and over and over again. So I think that's awesome. And I love the expectation that you're setting for parents to just know that it helps when you're involved in the process.
Yes.
I know every parent has different schedules. I know parents have multiple kids, or like you said, you're a single mother. So you're juggling a lot, but just making that priority and just making that sacrifice time to help your student, because loans are not the route that you want to take. I mean, they can just set you back for years and years and years to come. And so making those sacrifices now can really just set your student up for success and then set you up for success. So you're not the one co-signing on the loans, and you're the one paying it back, for years to come. So awesome. And keep asking your questions, everybody. I see we have some good watchers. I see y'all typing in your comments. So like I said, we'll leave time for questions. So make sure to type in all your questions. I'm monitoring all the pages that we're streaming to. So yes, we're definitely going to get to you. But all right, so let's dive into the next question. So what do you remember about specific strategies and tools or resources that you used during your son's scholarship journey? And then what are some tips and strategies that you can share with other parents today?
One of the things I did was Google is your friend, but get social media is your friend as well. So joining different Facebook groups, I'm in several. So some of them are just strictly, they just post scholarships. Some of them are just support groups. She Edits was one that I found. I attended your Brianna seminars. College Bound Village was another one. I attended seminars, and I joined the Facebook groups. So I got a lot of tips and knowledge from there. One of the biggest things, if you don't do anything else, is create a separate email address and make it sound a little more professional than, these kids come up with nicknames for their email addresses. You want it to keep it as professional as you can and start using that early. So if you know that you're starting to reach out to coaches or schools, your junior or sophomore year, go ahead and create that email address. Start having all college related things come to that email address, and make sure you as the parent have access to that so you can be following up behind your child, because let's be honest, they're not used to checking emails like that every day. And that's something that they're going to have to learn to do. And that's a part of a task they're going to have once they go off to college. So you being able to access that email address and see what's coming in, what deadlines that they need to meet, is going to be key, as one of the key things you're going to have to do. One of the other big resources, I'm going back to this Common Black College application because I don't think it gets promoted enough, especially if your child wants to attend an HBCU. You pay $20. I'm going to repeat, $20, and you get to apply up to 65 schools at one time. So that's how a lot of my son's acceptances came from this process, this platform, because he went this route, and it's set up just like the Common App. But with the Common App, unless you have a fee waiver, you're going to pay for each application. Those add up very quickly. Yeah. So that's another big tool that a lot of parents are not aware of.
And I'm glad you said that. As you were talking, I went and found the link. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, I just dropped the link for the Common Black app on there. They also have a very good Facebook group. It's so many parents on there, but also so many college representatives for the HBCU in there. And so if your child has interest in some of these schools, they literally have the admissions or enrollment officers in the groups to help your student and to answer your questions right there. So it's an excellent group. I'm in there. And I love the idea of joining other Facebook groups. I have scoured Facebook. I probably joined every college and Facebook group there is, because they're just so valuable. I mean, like I said, I do this full time, but I'm still always learning from other people and getting other perspectives. So definitely join our free Facebook group. It's just hashtag graduate debt free with She Edits LLC. And we post content in there all the time too. So definitely, if you're watching this, that's a good place to start. We're going to get to Adrienna's group too, because I love her group. Don't worry, we're going to get to it. She's going to talk about her Facebook group because she has a highly valuable one. I'm not just saying that because you're on the interview with me, but yours is super high quality. So yes, super excited to talk about that too. But let's keep it going. So two of the biggest challenges, and you touched on this a little bit, that I see parents and students face surround time management and organization. And so how did you specifically combat time management? We'll start with that, and then we'll touch on organization, but let's start with time management first.
Time management, I had to make sure I knew what his schedule was. What was my child's schedule for the week? What assignments he had for the week? So then I could slide in, okay, you can apply for at least this scholarship this week. You can do 2 scholarships this week. So it was a matter of just trying to help him manage his time. The other thing is the spreadsheets. We had a spreadsheet just for scholarships. We had a spreadsheet just for the colleges he applied to. And in that spreadsheet that listed all the colleges he applied to, we had different categories. And in there, the categories were what was important to him. What did he want out of a college? Like, he needed to know what was the graduation rate at the college. What was the total cost of attendance? Not just what was the tuition, because that's what schools promote. This is the tuition, and that's what parents see. That's not the total cost of attendance. And so parents get sticker shock after their child has committed to a school, and they're like, wait a minute, I thought it was only $13,000 a year when it's really $28,000 a year. So we had all of that listed. He had it listed. Did he tour the school? Did they offer him a scholarship? Is the scholarship renewable? Dorm life was important to him. So even down to how far away was the school in miles and hours, how would he get to and from school, how long it would take him to get to and from home to school. So all of those things were very key to us in managing, keeping track of everything and being able to manage our time.
I love that. Yeah, that's a big hang up that I see. So many people get stuck on is like they say they don't have enough time, and if nobody has enough time, it's me. I got so much going on.
Right.
A lot of us do. That's just normal. We have so much going on. And so for me, I remember, and I tell this story, and it's so true. So I remember last year, I was like, man, like I don't have enough time to do X, Y, Z. And so I was like praying about it. I'm like, Lord, just like give me wisdom, stretch my time,
right,
this stuff. And it was so clear. The answer was like, just get up earlier. And I was like, oh yeah.
Right.
Like,
It
was a big revelation. It was just, if I want to make time, there is time in my day. And so what I started doing, and it took my body a while to get used to, but I just set my clock. I started with like maybe 30 minutes before, and then an hour before. I got all the way up to like an hour and a half before the time I usually got up. And then it's like, the house is so quiet, it's so peaceful because I have like, so once they're up, it's just,
right. Right.
But it was so nice because I was able to just get so much more done. And then what I would do is prioritize my big tasks first. So when my brain was fresh, the kids were still asleep, the house was quiet, the things that I didn't really want to do, the stuff that was more like just took more of my brain power, I would just go ahead and knock that stuff out in the morning. And then when I started my work time later that afternoon, I just had all those big tasks out of the way. So just making, and remember, this is not something you're going to have to do the rest of your life, but I think the college and scholarship season is a time of sacrifice. And eventually, once you start getting used to the scholarship process and the college process, you get a rhythm. It becomes a lot faster and a lot but just setting those expectations for yourself and then holding yourself to the time that you set. That's when people enroll in our full program. The very first thing I have them do before I start teaching them about scholarships, I have them take a time management training, and then I have this whole little spreadsheet where they plan out what that time commitment will look like for them. And it looks different for every client, but they go through and they fill out Sunday through Saturday what that time commitment looks like for them, and then just we have them just try to stick to it as much as possible.
Right. Oh, also, one of the things that we had was a college resume. College resumes are very important for when you're applying for college and for when you're doing the scholarships, because a lot of scholarships will just ask for that, for you to fill out their little short form, and then they'll tell you attach your college resume to it. So that is important. On top of that, a lot of scholarships are looking for what are you doing outside of the school? What type of community service are you doing? A lot of scholarships are big on the extracurricular as far as the give back, the community service aspect, volunteering.
100%. And that's one thing. And I know I keep referring back to the workshop, but I cover so much of this. But that's one thing I talk about is, even though, and I'll say this, like, this is just what it was. I didn't have the highest GPA. I wasn't the best of the best student. I was always a focused student. I was always dedicated. Like, I love school, but math always tripped me up. Always. I would struggle. And I had a tutor for years. Like, it was just, so it brought my GPA down. But what I had on my side was community service and extracurriculars. I was signed up for everything. I volunteered all the time, and scholarship panels and committees love to give to givers. I know you've given away a scholarship. I'm giving away scholarships. And I know that one thing that I look at is, how do you give back? Like, how do you give back? Are you somebody who, if you get this money, are you just going to take it off for yourself, or are you going to use that to allow you in the long term to help somebody else? And so the community service and extracurriculars, those are so important. So I'm glad you talked about that. Let's touch on the organization a little bit. So I know you talked about the spreadsheets. Did you have any other ways that you kept all of his essays, his transcript, his letters of recommendation, all of that? How did you keep organized?
We had a folder. So we had like the accordion file folders. And so we just kept everything that came in alphabetical order. We had folders for acceptance letters. And that was the thing. Some schools only sent acceptances via email, and some sent the actual letters. So I went into his email. He had a regular Gmail. I went into his Gmail and I set up subfolders, acceptances, more information needed. I just had different titles to those folders, and I would just move emails over as acceptances came in. And then, like I said, we had the actual hard copy folders as well, for information, any promotional things that they would send. We would just file it away, and then we would have time to go through and read those, because what we found when they send those, some of them come with, if you do da 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 da, you'll get this scholarship. And I was like, oh, well, he had received a junior scholars for USC Upstate, University of South Carolina Upstate. And they said, well, if you attend, it comes with benefits. Well, one of the benefits was that he could apply earlier than the general population. And it came with some type of scholarship or some form, but he got priority. He would get priority consideration for the merit scholarships that they offered. So you definitely have to read all of the mail that comes in and read all the fine print of it that comes in, because some of them might have scholarships attached to it.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for saying that. And then just I love what you said about having a separate email. So, I'm just thinking about my email. It's clogged up it's clogged up with stuff from Amazon and Kohl's and, everything else. And then all my personal life. That's why, of course, I have my separate work email, but, and that's what happens with a lot of students or a lot of, parents or even adult students going through the process. They'll get everything just all mixed up. And then it's so easy
Right.
to, if you sign up for everything and you're getting like 100 promotional emails a day.
Right.
I even have one of my clients, there was a scholarship award notification and she didn't even realize it was in her email. And she checked her spam folder, because if you were one of my clients, I'm like, check that spam folder. If y'all don't check your spam folders every single day, because
Right.
a lot of times your email platform will read, stuff about awards and money as spam. So yes, having that separate email and then checking that spam folder as well is going to be super, super helpful for you.
Yep.
I love that. So what advice do you have for parents or adult students, any students who are on the brink of taking out thousands of dollars in loans?
Make that your last resort. It's so much money out there. You just got to stay focused, trust the process, and don't always go for the national scholarships, because the competition is so much bigger. Like, for example, the Taco Bell scholarship, the Dr. Pepper scholarship, the Burger King scholarship, all of those, thousands and thousands of kids and adults are applying for that. Start local with your local organizations, and those little scholarships add up. And that's where my son got most of his scholarship money from, was starting local organizations, the fraternities, the sororities. And I just want to put this out there. One of the scholarships that my son applied for was for a white sorority, and he received the scholarship. So, don't cancel yourself out just because you don't think you fit what you think they would honor or award. Don't cancel yourself out. Apply for these scholarships. They're out there. They're wanting to give this money away. And believe it or not, a lot of kids don't go for the local scholarships because they don't feel like that's enough money for anything.
Ooh, preach. I'm telling you, I'm about to have you come co-teach my workshop. I'm telling you, I'm not even. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's all I have to say is just, yes, I agree 100% with everything you're saying. It's so true, because one of my scholarship coaches, Jessica, I love this saying. She said her mom, I think, told her that pennies spend like dollars. And so if it's a $500 scholarship, if it's a $5,000 scholarship, that's still going to help, that can help with fees and books and parking. I remember my parking at my school was astronomical. It was out of control. So all of those things, like you said, and I'm going to go back and ask you a little bit about cost of attendance, but that it's so true. It's not just your tuition and fees and housing. There's so much more. And so small local scholarships can really add up. But talk about social media, finding scholarships on social media. A lot of people don't know about those because they're just lesser known. And so then, of course, you have a greater chance of winning those. So I agree 100% with everything you said. I want to wrap back real quick about cost of attendance. And so now that you have 2 kids in college, what are some of the other expenses that you've seen pop up that you didn't think would pop up?
Needing to have extra insurance. You got to have renter's insurance. So that was something I was like, what? Why we got to do that? But it was required for him to live in the dorm. We couldn't go out and buy our own micro fridge. We had to rent from the school their own micro fridge, because you had to have a certain type of micro fridge at his school. Well, that was like $300. Then the parking was $800. So it was all these little scholarships. He had some scholarships that were paid directly to him, and there were some scholarships that went directly to the school. So the ones that were paid directly to him, he put in a savings. So when it was time for those unexpected expenses, we just pull from that money because it was school related. It was fees for school and the books. A lot of the books were, the crazy prices. A lot of the ebooks are still crazy prices. So I was trying, his major. So depending on the child's major, those come with fees as well. Well, his major was exercise science, and to be an exercise science major, it came with a $700 extra fee attached to the tuition. And he was a capstone scholar. Well, to be a capstone scholar is still $150 a semester to be a capstone scholar. Yeah. So you got all those little fees that add up. So that's why I say you have to pay close attention to the total cost of attendance.
Absolutely. So good. So many good points. Man, I love it. This is a great interview. I'm telling you, if you're not watching this interview or you haven't shared it, share this with somebody. This is going to really, really, really help somebody. So many things that even I'm learning. You see me over here taking my notes. I'm serious. I learn from these interviews every time I do them. You all just bring such good value to the table. So just a few more questions. So what advice would you give to parents or even adult students going back whose children are struggling or who are struggling themselves to stay motivated during this whole process?
Like I said earlier, this time, especially for juniors and for seniors, is overwhelming. They're thinking about the next phase of life. They're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm really not going to have high school. I'm going to be leaving my friends. I'm going to be doing all these different things. And parents, you're going to get pushback from your kids. They're going to say, I don't want to do this. I'm not in the mood to do this. Why I got to do this? You're going to get all the excuses in the world. So take a step back. Don't keep pounding on them about it. Take a step back. Give them a week or two, then come back at them and say, hey, let's take a look at this together. They tend to do more things if you do it with them, and they'll follow through if you do it with them, and then they'll see, okay, well, this is pretty easy. I can do this on my own. Then you say, well, let's do this every week at this time. So that's the main thing to keep them focused.
I love that. And then kind of a similar question. So what advice would you give to people who feel like giving up because the scholarship offers aren't instantly flowing in? Like they've been doing it, they keep getting rejections, or they don't hear anything back. What would you tell those people?
I would say, okay, if you're not getting anything back, take a step back, have somebody to read your essays, have somebody to look at what you have submitted before and get some feedback. Go to your guidance counselor. This is when you need to go to the guidance counselor and tell them, hey, look at this. Can you help me? I'm not getting responses. So those are the things that I would suggest. Because a lot of times it's just, what did you put in your essay? Did you answer the question? I learned that just by doing my own scholarship. I had wonderful essays, but you didn't answer the question. So of course you're not going to get the scholarship. You're not even going to be in the top 10 because you didn't even answer the question, or you had grammatical errors everywhere in the essay. So you just want to make sure somebody's proofing your work, and look at your college resume too. What is your college resume is all about you. That's telling your story. So it tells who you are as a student, who you are as a person, because they're not going to call you up for every scholarship you apply for. You're not going to get a phone interview or a Zoom meeting or anything like that. They're going by what they see on paper. So if they see that you only did one thing throughout all of high school, then chances are they're going to be like, well, are they ready for college? Are they really ready? Because they didn't do a lot of things. In college, you got to do a lot of balancing and time management, and they're not showing that in this college resume. So those are some of the big things I would say.
So good. So good. I love that. And that's when you talk about getting some feedback. I think that is so crucial, getting feedback from others who have won scholarships, because if they're having success, then they could probably help you out. I love the comment somebody put. They said, as far as getting essay help, going to your English teachers at your high school, they're there for that. As a former classroom teacher, I would love when students would take that extra mile and come and ask me questions. Like, we teachers thrive on that. That's why we literally do it every day, to help. And so getting feedback for your essays from them is so crucial. That's all we do here at She Edits. We have a whole team of people who have won scholarships. So I always say, I got over 50,000. My head coach, Jessica, got 2 degrees debt free. One of my essay editors, Janice, 40,000 of scholarships. My client success coach, Sherry, she graduated debt free. One of my other essay editors, Ashante, she got a full ride to college. And so we put all of our knowledge together, and that's all we do. We want to help you figure out where you're maybe messing up, what struggles you're having. A lot of usually what it boils down to when you're not getting those offers are you're applying for the wrong types of scholarships, like you talked about earlier, the ones that everybody's applying for. So it's really hard to win those, or your essays aren't the best, or you're just not doing it consistently enough. And sometimes it's all three. So
and also, not to cut you off.
Oh, please go ahead.
Some scholarships ask for recommendation letters. Make sure you're getting somebody who's going to follow through on submitting those recommendation letters. So make sure you have a teacher that has committed to say, yes, if you come to me, I'll give you your recommendation letter. Have someone that you work with in the community or your church or whatever to be on standby, because you need to be able to call them and say, hey, this scholarship is due tomorrow. I just found out about it and I really want to apply to it. Can you do a recommendation tonight? And you want that person to be on the spot with and say, yes, I got you. And you know that they're going to submit the recommendation. So you want to make sure that you have those people in your back pocket. And what we found was that they asked for a college resume. Send me a college resume so I can write your recommendation letter.
That's awesome. I love that. So many good things. Oh, I love it. Y'all need to go back, save this interview, rewatch it. I'm not deleting it. So make sure y'all go back and rewatch this, y'all. This is such high quality content right here. She's just giving y'all all the secrets. Y'all don't even need to come. Well, I'm not gonna say that, because still come to the workshop, but
yes, go to the workshop.
But seriously, so many of what we're covering today, I'm just gonna break it down even more. But all the points that we're talking about, seriously, take them and run with them. So let's talk about your group a little bit, and then we're gonna dive into some of these questions, because we've been getting a lot of questions coming through. So
okay.
Talk about, we see your background, Ask Knowledge. Yay! Tell us about Ask Knowledge, your Facebook group, what you're doing it, who it's geared toward, what kind of stuff you post in it. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put the link to it in all the
okay. So it's called Ask Knowledge, ASK. And my motto is, if you don't ask, you won't know. So you have to research the information. And how Ask Knowledge came about was, I started posting on social media every time my son received a scholarship or some type of award or something, all of his good accomplishments I was posting. Then I started getting questions. Well, what are you doing? How are you getting these scholarships? And I started repeating myself over and over and over again. And I finally was like, okay, let me just create this Facebook group, and I can put everything right here and I can direct everybody to this Facebook group. Well, I launched the Facebook group and I had content already there, and it just kind of took off from there. So I post tips of the day, I post scholarships, I post internships, I post example resumes, I post example spreadsheets, anything that I can think of that would help, I post it. I even have 2 interviews up there I did with my boys, and to give 2 different perspectives, one from a community college student and one from a traditional student. So I try to give their tips as well. So a lot of those are listed in the group too. So yeah, so that's basically it. That's how it started, and it's thriving. And I just reached 500 members this week. So and I started this group last August, y'all. So I started this last August. So I'm proud of it, and I've had a couple of success stories, and I just tell people, just trust the process. I know it seems hard and frustrating, especially when you have a child that doesn't seem as interested. But just talk to your child. Don't just talk to them and listen to them, because that's where we as parents fall short. We don't always listen. We just tell them, look, this is what you're doing, and that's it. Because if I had it my way, my child would be at Tuskegee University. That's where I graduated from, and that's where I wanted my child to go, but he had other plans. So my dreams was not his dreams, and he's loving it. He's loving it. One of the things, just to kind of go back a little bit,
go ahead.
Out of all his scholarship money, he got a nice refund check his first semester. His refund check, I think, was like, it ended up being, because he got one refund check and then some more scholarship money came in, so he got another refund check. So I think it all ended up being like a little over $8,000 in a refund check for the first semester. That was his first semester. But he used that money to go to Spain to study abroad. He went to Spain his first semester during Christmas break and New Year's. That paid for his Spain trip. So we didn't have to come out of the pocket for anything. And that covered, he used that money to get his passport, all these extra little fees that came with going to study abroad. He used that money for that. So I just wanted to throw that tidbit out there. You know, you get that refund check, but put it to good use.
Absolutely. I love that. Y'all, I put the link to her group in the chat. It's awesome. Like I said, I'm in like a million Facebook groups, and hers is excellent. As you can see, just from this whole interview we've just done, she has so much knowledge. She's so free with the knowledge. She just puts it out there, super receptive. Her group is amazing. So definitely look up the Ask Knowledge Facebook group. I've dropped the link in the chat. Join, tell somebody to join. It's amazing. I'm not just saying that. I mean, those refund checks, woo, you saw me smiling. Y'all, I love talking about refund checks. You can get paid to go to school. Like somebody else will foot the bill for your school. So take advantage of it. Keep on putting that scholarship work in there, y'all. It's definitely worth it. So as we wrap up, I'm just going to do it on my phone to be easier. I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions that we had come through, if you're willing to answer a few questions. So let's see. And then while I'm pulling up these questions, I'm going to okay, so as I'm pulling up these questions, definitely go ahead and register for the workshop. Or just go to my website, sheeditsllc.com. That is where you'll register for the workshop. You can also go to learn.sheeditsllc.com. You'll get them both. You'll get to it both ways. But definitely sign up for the workshop. We're going to be covering all of the things we talked about in depth. It's on Zoom, so you'll be able to unmute, ask your questions live. You'll get a worksheet packed with resources. So definitely make sure you join that and tell somebody else about that as well. So a few questions that I want to go ahead and get through. Let me start with this page. This was a hot one. I knew it was going to be. I knew it. So somebody asked, what was the criteria for that fraternity scholarship Austin got? The one that you didn't think he would get, or that he wasn't, the white fraternity one? What were the criteria?
He just had to be a high school senior, graduating high school senior. And I think the GPA was a 2.5. I don't even think it was like a 3.0 GPA. And he just had to fill it out, and that was it.
That's awesome. Do you know what it was called? Do you remember what it was called?
He had to do an essay. Okay. I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's fine. That's no problem. Well, if you ever remember, you can just let me know and I'll put it out.
Yeah.
Let me go back to these questions. So somebody asked, how did you find college fairs to attend?
Googling in the Facebook groups, just being in different Facebook groups. That's how I found them. Instagram posts. You just start following the schools, especially the schools that the kids are interested in. A lot of schools will post that they're going to be attending these different college fairs. So that's a big thing too. Also, if you're looking for scholarships, go to the actual school's website. Like, I keep promoting Tuskegee because that's where I went. But if you go to Tuskegee's website and you just Google scholarships, a list will come up, and then you just search for external scholarships, and they will have all these scholarships out there. So you can go to these different college websites and search for scholarships and look for their external, and they'll have a list of scholarships. Some of them are just for kids that are going to that school, and some are just in general scholarships that you wouldn't find other places. But awesome. They're listed there.
I love it. Yep, I agree 100%. Somebody asked, so did the scholarships he won affect his EFC on his FAFSA for the next year? That's a really good question, Stacey.
So no, it affects my taxes because they do count a portion of it as like income on the, I think it's the 1095C or T, 1095T, I think 1098T, I think is what it is. Okay. But it does, but it doesn't affect them that much. So I would not be worried about the EFC. And the FAFSA is changing how they're doing calculations next year. So a lot of how we're thinking about the FAFSA is going to change. So like, I don't even think it's going to open up October 1st this year. I think it's December 1st this year, but I don't know if that's confirmed. But it really didn't. It didn't affect the EFC. He's already received his financial aid packet for next year, and actually he got more. I'm like, oh wow, okay. But it was, and a lot of people think FAFSA, they think student loans. Mm-hmm. There are other grants that are associated with the FAFSA that you don't have to pay back, and a lot of schools require you to do the FAFSA because they use that for endowments that they have at the school that you might qualify for, but you can't qualify for it and you don't fill out the FAFSA.
Yep. Oh, so good, y'all. So good. I keep saying this, but I hope y'all have taken notes. I hope you go back and watch this. I hope you share this with somebody because this has been so good. A lot of great comments. Somebody said you both are amazing. Good idea. Wow. Another good idea. Somebody just put some heart emojis. So this has been so valuable for everybody. People are saying they've joined your group. So I love it. I love it, y'all. So Adrienna, we're wrapping this up. I know we've been on here for about an hour. So is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't know. I can't think of anything else. I think we covered the basics. I mean, please go to She Edits. Brianna has a lot of information. Her workshops are excellent. Also join my Facebook group. You can ask questions in there. You can post questions. Like I said, Brianna's a part of the group. I have a good TU sister, LaMonica, who has her own platform, ACES. She's in the group. Lily with College Bound, she's in the group. So we have, it takes a village to do this. And, we're trying to help everybody that we can help. And we're all located all over the US. So we're capturing everybody that we can.
Yes, I love it. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you to everybody who's joined. It was such an amazing interview. I'm so excited to even go back and listen to this myself. So thank you to everybody who's joined. Thank you to everybody who asked questions. If you think of any questions that you just forgot to ask, then definitely join the Ask Knowledge Facebook group. Drop your questions in there. You can also always reach us reach out to us at She Edits, info at sheeditsllc.com. You can also DM us. My DMs get backed up very quickly. So if you sent me a message and I have not replied yet, it's not because I'm going to get to it. Okay. So I have a great team who helps me out, but we get a lot of DMs. So the email's great. And then a lot of the times I refer people to the workshops. A lot of the most frequently asked questions, I cover those in depth during the workshop. So definitely join the workshop. May 18th is the next one. It's going to be awesome.
Join it.
Here to help. Definitely just join. We'd love to see you. Thank you again, Adrienna. I'm going to go ahead and stop the streaming and then we'll wrap it up. But everybody, I hope you all have a blessed night in Jesus' name. Graduate debt-free. Share this video. It's not too late to share the video. Tell somebody to come back and rewatch this. But thank you again. This was awesome. This has just been super, super helpful. So let me go ahead and stop streaming. You all have a great night.
Good night.